Welcome back to another episode, guys. Now, in the previous episode, we've just finished creating our Connect wallet screen that will allow people to connect their wallet to our game, and then from there on out, they can use that wallet, for other functionalities like the NFTs, for tokens and rewards and stuff like that. So in today's episode, we'll actually start looking at the very first bit of blockchain interactivity, which will be the token. Now, if we just wait for this to load, you'll see that the first thing we want to do is we want to be able to grab a token balance. We want to be able to actually create a in-game economy of sorts where points can be converted into tokens and tokens can be used to purchase NFTs within our game. That way we've got the full ecosystem lined out. So let's start with rewards. We'll need to create a token in order for this to work. So if I just stop this here, if you go to your little NFT Pixels tutorial folder, you'll see that there's actually a folder called Solidity. Now in Solidity, there's a folder called Contracts. If we open up Contracts, there's a README file in here with instructions as well. But effectively, I've created these contracts for you guys, so you can just copy paste and then rename your token names and stuff like that. So if we double click on this token contract here, it's going to open it up for us. We can copy paste this, all of it, and we can then head over to Remix. So remix.ethereum.org. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description. We can create a new file. We can call this file, whatever file we want to be. It can be, let's go, I'll call it balls, because it's a marble, but we'll call it balls. We can paste this. It's going to warn us and saying, look, you've just pasted code. We don't know where it's from. That's fine. It's just from an external script, so that's okay. But if we go through this is a dead standard ERC20 token contract with all the basic stuff like transfers, approvals, allowances, transfer from, that kind of thing. Now, there's one thing you will need to change in the script, and it's right here at the bottom. You can see I've used this. I called this a marble script, so I'll go the balls token contract. And you need to actually give your contract a name. So I'll call it ball contract. Nice. And then under the constructor here, what symbol is your token gonna have? My symbol is gonna be balls. Nice. My token name is gonna be balls as well. Actually, you know what? That's too boring. I was gonna go BLS. And then the name will be ball. So that pretty much means that this contract is going to be called ball contract, and this contract is an ERC20 token. Our token name is balls and our symbol is BLS. After which, what we can do is we can click on this little compiler here. We can ensure that under the advanced configuration, optimizations are enabled, and auto compile is enabled as well. That way when you make changes, it will auto compile every single time, which is great. After that's done, we can go to deploy and run. This is kind of where a lot of your transactions will be happening. So let's have a quick look. At the very top, we can swap Remix VM to injected provider, our MetaMask provider. You'll see it's actually going to connect to the network we were most recently connected to, which is 137. I'm just going to go to MetaMask. I'm going to ensure that I'm definitely not on the mainnet. That's a bad idea. We're going to go to Polygon testnet, and you should see it swap over here as well to 80,001, because we're now working with the Mumbai testnet. Once this is sorted, you'll see that your contract name, in my case ball contract, will pop up here, and then we can go deploy. So once we deploy, it's going to pop up on MetaMask. It's going to ask us to deploy our contract. Cool, great. We're going to give it a moment because it does take a little bit of time on this chain. And you'll see, there we go, it's done. And if we look at deployed contracts, there's our ball contract right there. And if we click on stuff like name, you'll see that it comes back with balls. The symbol is BLS. And then of course our total supply and the decimal, which by the way can all be changed here as well. Like, you're welcome to play around with it, like, it's not a problem. But now we've effectively created our token contract. Excellent. Now let's import this into Unity so that it actually works. Now in Unity, I've created a script under if we go to the NFT Pixels tutorial folder again, go to scripts, go to the blockchain scripts. There's one script that stands out that's not in a folder, and it's called the contract manager. You guys may have seen this in a previous video. I'll make sure to link it up in the corner. Feel free to have a look at it. It explains what this is. But just to kind of reiterate on it again, the contract manager, is a very simple and effective way to kind of keep up with your contracts and ABIs within Unity. You need to have the token contract and the token ABI in Unity, because we'll be referencing this in scripts that will be calling methods like transfer and mint and stuff like that. So ignore pretty much all of this for now. We're only working with a token contract, and as we're progressing through this series, we'll be replacing the information here with a new information that I'm deploying on the blockchain. You will see the same stuff though. You will see this information in here as well on your end. These are just test contracts and test ABIs, which work just fine. So for people that don't want to create new contracts and stuff, you are welcome to just follow along, add the scripts, and it will still work using the default marble contract. Okay, cool. So now that we know our token contract and token ABI are here, what we can do is we can go back into Solidity here, so Remix. We can actually go ahead and copy the token address. Go back to Unity. Actually, let me just quickly go back here, and we'll just do that. We can replace this contract here to be that of the new contract address. Now this will be unique. It's going to be different for everyone when you deploy your contract. But now we need to make sure that this token ABI is the same, and luckily it is. This is the same token contract, the same NFT contract, the same reward contract that I've been using when I set this up. So luckily you don't need this token ABI. But for good practice, let's actually just quickly replace this as if we had to. So when it comes to your token ABI, you would have something like just this. So I'm just going to quickly go. This is kind of how you would start off. And now if we have our token contract address, we need the ABI. But where do we get the ABI? You click on the compiler here, and at the very bottom, quite small, you'll see ABI. You click on ABI, open up a new tab, paste it on a single long line, make sure to copy it or cut it. Go back to your Visual Studio or whatever editor you're using. You want to create a new file, so just a standard text file, paste that in there, and we're going to be finding and replacing. Now we'll be finding the quotes, quotation marks, and we'll be replacing it with a backslash quotation mark. And this is only really for formatting, because if you don't put this in here, I think similar to like Node, if you don't stop the string, it gets real messy. It thinks it's actual code and not string. So we want to make sure that Unity sees all of these little bits and bobs as strings. So we can go ahead, cut that entirely, back to the contract manager, and within here, let's go paste. Simple as that. Copy it from here, format it, paste it into your contract manager here. Fairly simple. Now just note, you don't have to do it for the rest of these, and as a matter of fact, if you don't want to follow that and you don't want to do that, that's fine. It's still going to work just fine. But again, I'll make sure that the video to that is linked so that you just know how to do it with your own contracts in future as well. Cool, but effectively, we've now set up a token contract, which is called Bulls, right? Perfect. So if we go back into Unity here, let's go back, boom, okay. Just go through it again. When we actually play the scene out here, there's still nothing here. It tells us that a script is required, and sure enough, a script is required. So I'm going to use the event system, but you can use anything. You can create a new game object for your token if you want to just have an empty game object. If you're that kind of developer that you use a game object for scripts, go nuts. I just use the event manager for some static scripts because it's just easier for me to manage. So within the NFT Pixels tutorial folder, under scripts, under blockchain scripts, there's a folder called token. You click on token, there's one singular script in there called get token balance. If we drag that script onto the event system, you'll see that there's a little bit of information happening here. Like, let me just screenshot this. All right, can I actually, well, joke's on me, I can't even zoom that in. I thought I'd be able to zoom it in. Okay, that's alright. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. We'll do this. Can we copy that and then open that in? Oh yes, there's always a solution. You'll see that the token balance script has a few bits of information here, like the custom token name, the connected wallet's custom token balance, and then some UI elements. Now, this one here, this one right here, this is automatic. Based on your contract address, this script is going to be automatically pulling in the token balance and the token name, and then display it on the UI elements. So let's just get into it. Let's quickly go into the token balance text. We'll grab that one here. Token balance is down here, and the token title should be a matching one as well. So token title. You'll see in the same way, if we go into the menu canvas, under the settings canvas, the panel, there's a token title and a token balance. That's what we want to be using for this, because that's that token title, token balance. And if we open up the script, we can just quickly run through it as well. This script, again, you can change it, go nuts, it doesn't really matter, and ignore the headers and stuff. It's really just there to help make the editor side of it super clear. But the actual functionality here is pretty much one function. I think it's really just this fetch balance function that you see here. At the start, we can call this function, and the only reason we not the fetch name, sorry, the fetch balance, this one right here. The only reason we make the fetch balance a function on its own is because we actually want to use this function again in other parts of the game. So for instance, when a player claims their rewards, we need to update their balance based on how many rewards they've claimed. So we create a separate function for this. In this function, we have a provider, which is just our contract manager RPC, which is the Polygon RPC we set up in the previous episode. And everything has been commented as well. So we can see here that we create our contract data in the following format: the ABI, the contract address, and the provider. So you'll see here, there's a contract manager.token ABI, which quite literally is this and this. So we're referencing this information from the manager into our functions. It just makes it super easy when you've got a lot of different calls that you have to make, and you want to make sure that it's uniform and you don't have to copy paste stuff like all the time. So we create a new contract using that information there, and then we actually make our call. Because it's a read method, we're reading information from the blockchain. We do contract.call. We're calling the balance off, which if we go back to Remix here and we go into the actual contract itself, we are calling this function right here. Of course, this function requires one parameter called owner, which is an address. So if we go back to Unity here, you'll see that in this case, the argument that we're passing is the account. Now the account was originally set here when we connected our wallet. So it all kind of links into each other. After we connect the wallet, that wallet is stored into the account player preference. We actually use that player preference again as the wallet to use on our balance off method to get the amount of tokens that the connected wallet holds based on the contract that we specify. Pretty straightforward stuff. Of course, after that has been created there, you'll also see that if the method you're calling, like for instance name, has no arguments, you'll leave it blank, and we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so let's quickly go into this here. You'll see here that after we make the call, we have to use a big integer because the number that we're pulling is quite big, it's quite large. Actually, I think it has like 18 decimals. That's the reason we divide it by the amount of decimals our token has. I mean, once you call data and you actually debug call data, it's going to give you an absurd number. It's going to be like that long. It's not good. So we've then created a big integer called rounded balance. We pass that value that we get from a contract into a big integer, and we divide it by the amount of token decimals we have, which in this case is 18. So that means 1 and 18 zeros. Now, depending on the amount of decimals you have, you might reduce these zeros or you might increase it. And then after that, we display our custom currency balance in that little settings menu. And then this here, yeah, it's purely for display. That's pretty much it. Now, what I've added here, this is optional. This is not part of the tutorial at all, but I wanted to make this script as dynamic as possible so that no matter what contract you provide, it will dynamically fetch the token name and the token balance. Now, the token name is very similar to the token balance, except it's a lot easier. We do the same thing. We have our provider, we create the contract, the call data, and then we assign the name, which is the name we get back from this method up here called balls. We assign that to a string variable, and then we change the text for the token name. So it's really just to make it look nice. That's really the only reason you would want to call the name, is to make it look nice. And you'll see that I even commented here that there is an easier way to do this. You can use the built-in SDK class that is pretty much a contract, a token name, and then the token name. So you would supply your contract address. So this here would be something like contract manager dot token, what is it, token, like token contract. You would put that in the quotation marks there. Oh, actually no, sorry, apologies. You would remove like this entirely, so it would look like this. It would look like that, and then the string token name would then just be the ERC20 name method that gets called, and then the token name will be printed. In this case, the response should be balls because it's the token name. Perfect. But we'll save this. We can go back to Unity, and I'll just show you guys what this looks like. At the start, when we fetch the connected wallets account for those custom tokens. Now, given I've actually deployed this contract, I am the deployer wallet, which means I will own all the tokens. So if we just run the game and we go to the settings, there you go, our balls balance, and we have, I think it's like 1 trillion balls. So dynamically based on the contract that you supply, it will update. It will update on the other end. So if I, for instance, had to go, sorry, I'm really popular today, I don't know why. If we go into this one here and we, for instance, grab, sorry about that guys. So if I go back here, if I supply a different contract address here, if I actually just see if I can, how far back can I go here again? Nice, okay. If I change this contract address to what it was before, you'll see if I start this game now, it's gonna pull in an entirely different token because it's an entirely different contract that we've provided. If we go and we click on settings, marble balance, and I've got 48,710 marble. So there you go, like you can use any contract you supply, you can use in here, and it will give you a different token name, token balance. It will dynamically update the token data based on the contract supplied. And that's exactly what this script here does. It fetches a balance for that by directly calling the balance off method for our contract that we've supplied. And in a similar fashion, we're directly calling the name function. We're interacting with these individual bits and bobs here. All these methods that you see here, we interact with them. And you can even interact with transfers. You can transfer tokens. You can mint, which we'll get to in future. But really it comes down to read and writes. And today, in today's episode, I know it was a biggie, but effectively what we've done is we've created this token contract that will be housing the economy, or the in-game economy, for what we want to do in future. So congratulations guys, not only have you set up a connect wallet screen, but you're now using the fetched wallet from that account to fetch the token balance for your very own custom in-game token. The next one will most likely look at potentially rewards. We'll look at creating a reward pool and see how we can actually actively reward players by converting points into on-chain currency. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I know it's a big one. Feel free to ask questions if you're unsure. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.